Today's guest is somebody who I met late last year, and upon meeting this woman, I felt like we were immediate best friends. Like I really did. And it was somebody who, and the friendship developed very, very, very quickly. I feel like I've known her forever, and I know that I will know her forever. I really do. I'm going to go into, let me talk about who she is first, and then we'll talk a little bit about when we met. But guys, Jen Cohen, if you don't know who she is, you've got to follow her, and you're going to want to follow her after today. She is a leading fitness and wellness authority. She's a best-selling author. She's a major entrepreneur, and she's a frequent guest on national media television. She was also recently named one of the 100 most influential people in health and fitness by Greatest, and ranked number 16 on most impactful fitness entrepreneurs by WebMD. That's a big deal. In 2019, Jen took her passion and her experience to develop she was the host of the fastest rising, regularly ranked podcast called Habits and Hustle, which I was on, and it was amazing. And she has, you guys, there's such an amazing list of guests that she has on there. Her signature 10% target mindset, which we are going to talk about in a bit, was recently presented in a TED Talk that she did. And Jen is the founder of the Good Human Foundation. It's a 501c3 charity which hosts an annual star-studded Babes for Boobs Bachelor auction. I like the sound of that. Babes for Boobs and Bachelor all in one, benefiting the Susan G. Komen Foundation. And more on a personal level, Jen, she is from Winnipeg, Canada. She's an incredible wife and mom. I've seen her momming in real life, and she is amazing. She's just an all-around incredible woman. She's as authentic and as vulnerable as they come. And she has she's the exact same off camera as she is on camera. And you'll notice that. I'm not going to bring people on who are different on camera than they are off. Another thing I really like about Jen, she takes full advantage of all of the opportunities that she gets in life, which we'll talk a little bit more about. I want to bring Jen on right now, and I want to talk to Jen about how we met. All right, Jen, where you at? Where you at, Jen? These are the kinks that are so much fun. Oh, that was really fast.
Did it work?
Jen,
can you hear me now?
Oh, you are.
Oh my God.
You know what? This is my thing. Yeah, I can hear you. If there's not a technical difficulty, then like I'm not doing me. Like I am Heidi Powell, and Heidi Powell has technical difficulties all damn day. Anyway,
by the way, it's unbelievable. It takes up so many hours of the day just to get the technology on point. I mean,
I know. I walked in when you and Derek were going into how to make this work, and I was just laughing because you and I feel like connect on so many levels. Like I watch your TikToks and I'm like, oh, she is me.
First of all, I watch your TikToks. Okay, I've only done like 3 because I feel like an old person on that. Me too,
platform. But we still do it. Savage,
yes.
Right?
Yes, but you're a good dancer. You can dance.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, you are. You're amazing. I'm looking at them like, you're better than the 20-year-olds. I swear to God. I'm telling you, you're going to become an influencer on TikTok. Just watch.
You are so sweet. Okay, maybe I need to set aside a little bit of time to learn more TikTok dances. I have my kids every night. They're like, hey, let's do a TikTok. I'm like, I can't. But what happens is it takes me so long to figure out the dang dance that like by the end, which is usually a couple hours, I have like 70 takes, and I'm like, I need to post more than one because I have so many takes because I'm a perfectionist. Well, I will not stop till I have it perfect.
Well, it actually looks perfect. When I see it, you look like you belong in the back of a Janet Jackson video or like a J-Lo video, to be more clear.
Oh, that is so flattering. I'm supposed to flatter you today.
Okay, you're right. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, not to digress, but I'm going to, because you are sitting right in front of where you and I podcasted. So guys, I don't think I did say, I was on her podcast. I walk into a podcast studio and there are 2 treadmills. And she's like, do you have your workout clothes on? I'm like, yeah, luckily I do. And we podcasted. I'm going to get the link because I want people to watch it. It was really, really good. But just to kind of fill you guys in on how I know Jen, I didn't even know, like, you're one of those people that just comes into my life out of the blue, didn't expect you to, like, and it was like, bam, like I knew from the moment I met you, you were an amazing person and a forever friend. And
I You know how we met? I pinched your butt. That's how we met
What?
at Lisa's house.
Yeah.
And then it was like love at first sight. It was
Yeah,
like dead
honestly,
on.
you want to be my friend, just pinch my butt and then talk about it, and I will love you
Exactly. And
forever.
talk about it for a good 20 minutes and just like, like kind of like keep on meandering around there and switching it and pulling it and looking at it.
Yes. And we're like, okay, wait, hold on, turn this way, turn this way. You were so funny, but I have to say that's one thing about you. Well, so we met at Lisa Bill. We were doing Lisa Bilyeu's Women of Impact show, and it was a panel. And I hadn't met you yet, Jen. I didn't know who you were yet. And I was so, I mean, from the moment you and I started talking, I just loved you. And then the more and more, you're one of those people, the more you talk, the more I love you. And the more I read about you and the more I find out about you and just your authenticity and your vulnerability, you are one of a kind. And I love seeing.
That's so sweet. Thank you. I feel the same about you. I really do.
Thank you. I love seeing good people succeed, especially when you know someone's successful and you have a lot of people, a lot of eyes on you. And when you really get to know that person and know that they are legit, it makes me so happy. Like, you are the kind of person that deserves to be at the top.
Oh,
and
God.
yeah,
I'm glad I came on this show. Can I come every week for like a good
yeah,
interview?
you can.
I love it. I love it. I feel this is like so great for my ego.
Oh gosh. Well, and I love that your podcast studio is in your house. That's always one of my favorite things when I show up somewhere, because I feel like I'm one of those people that has to balance and mesh in business and personal a lot in order to make it all fit. And you did so well. Like, I love your guests come in your home. You make them feel so welcome. Every single person you talk to feels like your best friend. And I got to see your kids, it was,
Right.
yeah, I know.
I want to meet Ruby, by the way.
Oh, you
I'm
and Ruby
obsessed
would
with
be
her.
besties.
Oh,
You would literally be best friends with her.
that
You
child
would.
is so cute. I kid you not. I was actually going to fly to Arizona just to meet her in person. She's a star of your
Hey,
social media.
you're welcome to. You are totally welcome. We got a casita for you. You are welcome to come whenever. Yeah.
Well, right now with this whole quarantine, it's kind of difficult to go and do anything. I mean,
I know
in LA, well, you guys are better, but in LA, we're locked down here until August.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they say. Hopefully it's going to change, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
My gym opened up today, which was a big deal. So things are slowly beginning to open here.
Oh,
Isn't
you're
that crazy?
so lucky. Yes, here it's not. Even when it opens, it's not going to really open. It's going to be very, very slow.
It is. Yeah, I can tell. It is. It's definitely a different pace there than here. So just to kind of go in, like, I love you. And again, this is something I didn't know about you. I figured this out about you. You are the entrepreneur of all entrepreneurs. You just are. You have so much business savvy. And again, the more I get to know you, the more impressed I am with all you're able to balance, because I do know how much family matters to you. I know how much your kids matter. I know how valuable relationships are. Like, you balance relationships, family, and business so well.
Oh God,
I
appreciate it. I try. Maybe it looks like that from the outside, and I attempt to, but I feel that it's a constant struggle. And if I make it look easy, then that's like that's great, but it's definitely not. It's anything but easy. But I will say that interpersonal relationships are, to me, what I find to be the most important thing, because it's a through line for anything, for professional, for anything in life. And there's actually been a ton of research talking about the fact that in order to people always think that you have to be successful first to be happy, but really it's basically you got to be happy first to be successful.
Yes.
And to have that social, that community, or that those like important social interactions that you connect with people, that feeling of connectedness is really what it's the not just a through line, but the foundation.
I love that so much, and I could not agree more with you on that. I could give up all the actual success for the connectedness. And I want to rephrase, because you don't make it look easy. And that's what I appreciate. I think people think balance and life should be easy. You actually, like, to me, when I look at what you do, I'm like, holy shiznit, like, that's a lot. Like, I know how hard it is, and you still do it. And I think that's what I'm the most impressed by. It doesn't look like a chaotic mess. I know better. I know that it is. We're like ducks. We're paddling like hell underwater and remaining calm, cool, and collected on the surface. But I also believe that's what's so great about you is you're like, hey, this is my life. I got a lot going on, and either join me or freaking, you're in the dust.
That's what it is. I'm like, listen, I feel like I'm a total, like, you know how this is. Like, part of it is you can't really believe everything you see on social media. People put their best foot forward and they post their nice TikToks and their things, but there's a lot of junk that goes on behind the scenes, right?
There's 70 takes that go on before I post the good one.
Exactly. There's 3 hours of practice, right? That goes into like a 10-second TikTok, right? I mean, actually, people our age, right? But so like, I feel like it's a constant. It is a constant it's a struggle. It's a balance, and it's super difficult to do, especially if you're ambitious and you're driven and momentum, right? Everything in life is momentum driven, right? So once you start having some success, you have to kind of like continue with the momentum, because that's what it's all about, right? Life is built on momentum in anything.
Yeah. And I'm totally tangenting, but I mean, and that momentum is scary for people. Like, to know that, like, once you have success, you have to, there's an obligation, a responsibility to maintain it. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle to put forth the effort to actually succeed, because once you get there, there's a bar. You've set a bar for yourself, and you continue to rise to the challenge in what you do.
Well, thank you. It's self-induced, though. It's a self-induced bar, right? We are our own critics, and we are our own worst enemies, right? Because it's self-perpetuated. We can't just stay stagnant, and I don't think you should stay. I don't think anybody, no matter where they are in their life, should stay stagnant. You want to constantly grow. And I'm like out of this thing. Sorry. You want to constantly.
Good. I can see you.
Okay. All right. You want to constantly be able to grow and kind of develop at no matter what stage of your life you're at, right?
Yeah.
What stage of your life, personally, professionally, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I want to rewind a little bit, because I was reading somewhere that you never intended to get into fitness. Is that true?
Absolutely. You didn't know that?
No, tell me this.
God, this is like a total fitness for me was a total fluke, like beyond.
And Keanu Reeves. How do I say his name? Keanu Reeves.
You said it right. You said it
well enough.
Perfectly. Yeah. Perfectly.
Is like woven into your story somewhere. Like, I want to hear all of this.
So Keanu Reeves was like he was the catalyst. So hold on a second. So Keanu Reeves really, his thing to me. Okay, so basically, did you listen to my TED Talk or not yet? Or you didn't listen to it?
I have not listened to it yet. No.
Okay, you listen to it.
I wish I could say yes. It'd be a big lie if I said yes.
Yeah, don't lie. You'll listen to it afterwards, and it'll make.
I will. Okay.
But Keanu Reeves, when I was 17 years old, I was like living in Winnipeg in a very small town. And do you remember MTV?
Yeah.
Okay. So
of course.
Right. And do you remember the VJs? Like you had Carson Daly. He was like the biggest thing in the world, right?
Oh yeah.
So we had the same thing back home in Canada, but our version of MTV was called Much Music. So I wanted to be a VJ when I was that was my big dream as a kid.
Yeah.
And I thought, what can I do? I mean, that's going to be what I wanted to do. So to make a long story short, I got this cockamamie idea in my head that Keanu Reeves was going to be on my demo tape. So I would send in this demo tape with this big movie star, because at the time he was like the hugest movie star in the world.
Yeah. He's a big deal.
Yeah, he still is a big deal. Exactly.
I know.
He's big. So long story short, I got in my idea that I had to have him on this demo tape, because that would catapult me to the top of the heap of demos where they would watch it, and I would get the job. And I told all my friends. I told my family that was what I was going to do. And everyone's like, oh my God, like, what is wrong with you? Yeah, Keanu Reeves is going to be on your demo tape. Well, I don't want to ruin the TED Talk, but cut to Keanu Reeves was on my demo tape. And in Canada, he came to my house. My mom made him lunch. And,
oh my gosh.
And and then, I don't want to tell you what happens exactly, but the point is that moment in my life, that was a very telltale moment for me, because it proved and showed me that anything is possible. that you have to go after whatever it is you want in life. And like, what is the worst that can happen? Someone says no. You don't get that thing. You don't get that job. You don't get that guy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that kind of like that kind of sealed something in my brain that you gotta kind of just go after whatever it is you want, because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, I've actually heard you say, because I watched a few different podcasts kind of getting ready that you had done, and what's the worst that can happen? You talk about that, kind of comes up a lot. I love that. I love that idea, because it really does. When I heard you say it, I'm like, gosh, that's right. It sets you up for a just in case. You've almost played out all the bad scenarios, and you're like, you know what? Okay, so if that happens, I'll be okay. It's almost like an expect the worst but hope for the best, and I'm going to go for it full force, right?
Basically, yeah. I mean, and also my whole thing is like, fail forward. Like, like anything else in life, it's about practice, right? You got to practice for success. And how do you practice for that success is to keep on failing over and over and over again. And so like my whole life, it's just been me constantly failing, but maybe moving up slightly more every time, like I failed 90% of the time. So if you win, 5% or 10% of the time, as I say, then, you're off to the races. But you have to at least put yourself out there. The answer will always be no if you don't ask the question, right?
And sometimes it's a no 2 or 3 times, and then you finally get a yes. It's like, I'm that mom that's like, when I say no, don't ask me again. But in real life, I'm like, okay, wait, they said no. I'm going to make them say yes. I'm going to have them say yes without me even asking again. I'm going to prove to them why it's a yes.
It's different, right? Because you feel like, you say like, okay, no, my answer is no. But if you ask me 10 times, I get annoyed, fine, okay? No, but there are some exceptions to the rule, but
There are. And I mean, not to tangent, but to tangent with kids. If they like come up with a good case, I'll be like, I said no, but I really like how you thought that through. So yes, I'm going to let you do it.
Exactly.
So does that kind of tie into your 10% target? Right?
Absolutely.
That 10% target mindset. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, basically, like the whole idea behind it is that you have to give yourself the permission to be okay with failure. But the reason why people don't even start, the biggest stop is in that start, right? Because people don't want to even start the process because of self-doubt. They're scared of the outcome. So what people do normally is that they'll acquiesce to whatever's in front of them, and they'll just they'll kind of accept what's given in front of them. So the whole idea behind it is changing your mindset to actually being much more focused and deliberate on what exactly it is you want, and go after it. And so what I say is make 10 attempts at whatever it is that you want most in life. And 2 things will either happen. Either you'll get that thing that you went after, or some other opportunity will present itself that you never even knew existed. And that will happen. So you can't, and the truth is, and all the research I have even seen and done, and I've spoke to a million researchers and read a ton of case studies, 90% of people don't even attempt once. And 70%, if they do, they'll only attempt one more time. So really, it's in the numbers, right? It really becomes a numbers game. The people who actually persevere and persist will eventually get it. It's not always about talent or the smartest. It's a lot of times it's about who actually is the most resilient and will get up again and go after something.
The most persistent. Yeah, I love that so much. I really do. And I think a lot of times people view failure as like, they don't like failure because they say, oh, I don't want it to define me. Like, to me, I look at failure, and I feel like you would have the same thoughts about this or similar. And if you don't, tell me. But I like to look at failure and say, okay, those failures are actually what shape me and mold me and strengthen me and who I am. So you know what? Let failure define me. Because let what I've done that didn't work tell you who I am, and let the fact that I'm getting back up and I'm moving every single day define who I am to you and to myself.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%, as I'm sure you would know, because I I think it's character building, right? Like that really is the things that actually define you. Like it's the devil in the details. It's like the nuance in life, right? If everything just worked out for somebody over and over again, it becomes like very beige, right?
It
There's
does.
no, you know what I mean? There's no real like flavor. It's not real, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not really what really happens in life. And the people that does happen, typically they're not the kind of people that you and I would relate to as much, right?
No,
So
it's true. It is true.
yeah, it's
So
true.
speaking of failure, I want to know from you, what failures have you experienced? Recent failures that have actually turned in
How about
to
today?
being, yes.
Failures that happened today. No, I'm
Okay,
joking.
tell me about it. Okay, did
Yeah.
you have one?
I mean, I've got 100. I could tell you 100. What do you mean?
One,
We
one.
started at 7 in the morning.
Okay, tell us about the failure. What
Oh,
I love this story about the TV show that you attempted that didn't work out. Tell
oh
me
God.
about it. And then,
Okay. So what do you mean the TV show? Okay. So The Biggest Loser? Are you talking about The Biggest Loser?
well, and it turned in.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
So
hold on.
yeah,
Tell us that.
no. That's so funny that you brought that up because I haven't thought about that stuff for so many
Yeah,
years. And then I was on I was being interviewed the other day and I thought about that and it was like, oh my God, it
yeah.
was like so long ago. But long story short, that's from a while ago, but Biggest Loser. So I was up for The Biggest Loser. Basically, it was before Jillian Michaels got it, right? And ended
Okay.
up happening that I moved to Canada. And so she got the show. And
Wow.
and so
Wow. That could have been you. It's a good thing it
well,
didn't, because you are where you're at.
so right, but listen, but you know what you said, what I'm gonna tie this all together. So what I said earlier about the fact that a lot of times when you go after something super hard, you know, you think you want something, and a lot of times when that perseverance doesn't necessarily get you that one thing, but it'll get you another opportunity that you never knew existed. So
Yeah.
I didn't get that show, but it took me on a whole different path in life that ended up being much more for me and much more successful both personally and professionally. I got married to somebody, I had a book deal, I created a company called No Gym Required. And then, you know,
Wow.
to kind of cut to the guy who created Biggest Loser years later ended up starting and had a different TV show. And he put me on that show and I didn't like it.
Really?
It wasn't my style. No, I didn't like the process of being on a television show and having that situation. I mean, you could talk about this more. I mean, you obviously liked it a lot. It just didn't work for me because sometimes you think you want something and it's not really what you wanted. So it's funny how things just typically kind of work out. But but in the moment when I didn't get it, I thought it
Yeah.
was a colossal failure, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do know what you're saying. And I really think the only reason I ended up liking TV, because I never thought it was because I never thought that I wanted it at all. It was something that just happened
Right.
naturally, and they kind of threw me on camera, which I hated. But there was so much, and it was such a natural evolution of what was already happening behind the scenes. So it is very different. And I think you're right. Like a lot of people do think, like they'll look at you and they'll look at me and they'll look at Chris or anybody else on camera and say, oh my gosh, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. And then as soon as they get it, it's like, hold on a sec. There's a lot. Okay, I don't want the responsibility that comes with it, or I just don't like the feel of it, or I can't authentically be who I am. Because when television, no matter how real the show is, it's still television. It's still
Right.
produced to an extent. And it is a hard reality. And I think we were one of the most real of them, but it's still, and I'm sure that was probably a hard thing for you to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that you're exactly right. I mean, I think that's exactly what it was. And I think it's also in different times in your life, you want
Yeah.
different things, right?
Yeah.
So in that moment, I evolved to a place where I had other things happening, and it wasn't what I thought it was. You can glamorize something when you're younger and think it's going to be
Yeah.
something, and then when you really kind of get a taste of it, the schedule didn't work
Yeah.
for
It's
me.
hard. Yeah.
It's a lot of other people speaking in your ear, telling you what to do and say. It's just not the experience just wasn't for me. But
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was, like I said, the reason why we were talking about this is because in the moment it was such a big failure.
Yes.
But in my opinion, but like I said, things tend to work themselves out, right? You got to believe in your head that things do happen for a reason. And the truth is they do happen for a
Yeah.
reason. You don't know it in the moment.
I love that. And that was another thing that I read and kind of learned about you and just know about you from talking to you. There are so many things you say, do, and are that I am so in alignment with. And that's one of them. It's like, hey, even the worst of the worst, it's happening for a reason. You just don't know what it is right now,
Do you know what's amazing about our friendship, actually, which I just kind of really realized right this minute?
Yeah.
Is that a lot of times when people become friends, and they speak about things that are like, especially when they do the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
They talk
Yeah.
about work
Yeah.
constantly. Like, what are you doing? What am I doing? How are you doing
Yeah.
this? We've never ever done that.
Never. Never.
Like everything
Yeah.
we
It's about the
talk, that's
important
why you
stuff.
don't know about my TED Talk. You don't know about this because we've never actually, like, it's always just been like, right, like we go for the jugular about
I
actual
know.
things in life, like personal
Yes.
stuff in life that actually is meaningful, bigger than that,
I know. Yeah. And when you have that foundation, I feel like everything else falls into place.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
amazing. I like when you meet people like that, right? Like you
Yeah,
don't
I
happen
agree.
so often, I love it.
No, it does not. It does not.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing you talk about that I love, and this is all stuff I had to find on you, right?
Okay, well, you
I
could have asked, but
but I just wanted to like do my research, put a
okay,
little
go
into
ahead. Go on,
um,
ask away. Ask away.
and it really is. It revolves around you. There's this no excuse attitude.
Right.
Obviously that a lot of people talk about, but you kind of talk about the point at which no excuses. I should say where rivals burnout. Like there's a line in between because no excuses are great, but like at what point is no excuses too much to where you're actually hurting yourself? So I
Right.
kind of
So
want your opinion on that.
that was more with No Gym Required. That was the first book I had ever had, and that was kind of a company where but the idea behind the whole philosophy, and
Yeah.
that is my philosophy still, but
Yeah.
it's evolved and morphed a little bit. But that was more about anytime, anywhere, no excuses, and that's about giving people the idea that they don't have to go to a gym to be healthy, fit. They could do a lot of little things. So a lot of small wins equal big change. And that was really
Yes.
my whole point. There's no excuses. You can figure out if you can shower and straighten your hair in the morning, then you can
Yeah.
find 5 minutes to take care of yourself in another way, which is going for a walk around your block. It's about
Yep.
movement. That was more about incorporating physical activity in your life because it's such an
Yeah.
important piece of a holistic of wellness, right? Like you need
Yeah.
to move. You
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. And even taking that concept though and just kind of going, it's like with your body is the same as your mind, and no excuses is great. But there is a point at which, too much of anything is going to burn you out. And only, I think for everyone that their balance there is unique to them, and same goes with work. It's like, hey, for me, I'm such a no excuses person.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is nothing that will get in the way of what I want. Nothing. But I depend on people in my life like Derek, who you met, who's over here,
Yes.
my
I love it.
ex-husband.
I
Yeah,
love
he's so
it.
great. And he kind of keeps me, I need people like that to keep me in check because they know I'm so driven, I will burn out. And I would imagine you're similar in that way.
I have the thing is I'm very similar. I was going to ask, were you always like this, or did it get to be more as you got more momentum behind you and you got more success behind you? Did it become much more of a drive to stay there and keep on like topping it?
That's such a good question. So you are such a podcast host and you totally just flipped this on me. I'll answer it. And then I'm going to have you answer that same question that you just so eloquently presented to me.
Okay.
That was so great. So for me, success, that mentality came as I realized what I was capable of, because I never realized I was capable of much as a kid. I just didn't. Like, I could be told from my dad and my mom all day long. I had no idea. And I feel like I wasted the first handful of years as an adult not knowing what I was capable of. But all it took for me was like one victory. I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, hold on. I just did this. Like, what else can I do? One more victory. Okay, what else can I do? And then, I mean, it just kept going and going. And I got to the point where I'm like, hey, in this box, like, I am unstoppable. Like, I can beat anybody, anything in this box. But I didn't realize life existed outside of the box. And then I met Chris and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's in a totally different box than I am. Like, I can play in that sandbox. Like, I'm going to get in there. And I also have always innately understood that I can get anything I want if I work hard for it, but it's believing what you're capable of achieving was always my limiting thought, if that makes sense. So yes.
Yeah, it was your limiting belief. I think it's so true though, and I think everyone does that. That's what we were talking about earlier, is that like you can do anything you think you can do, and you cannot do anything that you think you cannot do. It all starts with the power of belief in your head, right?
Yes.
And it's all about that. And I feel like motivation is such a I feel it's such a superfluous word, because motivation wanes, right? Like anything else in life, you can't rely on motivation and willpower to kind of take you through the threshold of life. I feel the best thing when people always ask that question, like, how do you get motivated? And you just said the best way to get motivated is to see yourself winning at something, like succeeding, progression, progress, because that's actually authentic success. That little seed will kind of perpetuate you, want to make you kind of keep on succeeding. So that's what happened with you, right? You saw some success and you're like, oh, I can do this. I could do more. And that pushed you. And then you saw more and you like that feeling. So you kept on going.
And I'm an addict, so I kept going. Yeah, I couldn't stop, but I still can't stop. So I want to know from you now. So for you, were you always this way, or is this something that was learned over time for you?
So like, we talked about Keanu Reeves a bit, and like that moment, that pivotal moment in my life showed me when I was a kid. See, that's why I owe such I'm so great. I have such gratitude towards Keanu, because he doesn't even realize that what he did for this little kid in a small town in Winnipeg put me on a path of to feel confident and self-assured that I can go after anything, because that someone so big and grandiose at the time did that. So I think that when I succeeded at getting that interview at the time, it was the biggest thing in my life. I was like, hey, that gave me that little nugget that I needed to kind of go on and move to Toronto and then go after another big job, which, and then I used to work for the music world and a lot of other things, but so I was never in the fitness space. And then from that job, got a bigger job and then got a job in LA. So it kind of happened very gradually, like stepping stones. As I had a little more success, I felt like, I like that feeling. It's driving me more. But it all starts with one catalyst. So I guess he was the catalyst in a way,
I love that. I love your story. And you're right. It is one small thing leads to another, and now you are unstoppable. Like I can guarantee, if there's something you want, you can find a way to get it. Like,
I feel confident that either I'll get that thing I wanted or some other opportunity would happen.
There actually, I heard Ed Milet once said, and I've grasped onto it and I've never let go of it. But he says, life doesn't happen to you. So like when that thing that you get doesn't work out, life happens for you. And I will never forget that. So it's like, whatever you're working for, if it doesn't work out, it's happening for you so that you can get something else. And I really love that. You also think something that I firmly believe in. You are a believer in the power of and, not or. You live an and life. Am I right? You don't live an or life.
I do. I do. I mean, I like that. I never said that, but I like it. Like, so
maybe I said it and I heard it, and because I do say it a lot.
But no, I mean, I think like your point is more like I can have this and I can have that. It's not a choice of this or that.
Yeah.
But I will say I do believe that. However, if I were to be honest with you, I don't believe you can have everything at the same time. And I've learned that the hard way. I think that's how you get burned out. And that's how you have your expectations. Sometimes when you have unrealistic expectations, it can take you down a bad rabbit hole of feeling overwhelmed. And then when you don't have everything at the same time, that's kind of becomes like a big mind. Am I allowed to swear on this thing? Or
go for it.
Okay. Well, no, it becomes a mind fuck. Like you want to be
Yeah,
able to be able
that's what I was
to.
going to say.
Okay. I was going to say, like, I think you can have everything and this and that, but
Yeah,
sometimes you have to be, you may have to do one thing first. Have you ever
yeah.
read the book, uh, the one thing?
No,
Okay.
no. Do I need
It's a
to?
really good book. I really
Okay.
love it. And it's, I think Gary Keller, the guy who started Keller Williams, the real estate,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he wrote this book. It was like a big New York Times bestseller, and it was all about the idea of doing one thing at a time because that's how you get real success. Because the truth of the matter is, if you do too many things at once, you do a lot of things shoddy and
Yeah,
nothing really, really well, right? You're spread too thin. But if you really
I get
focus
that.
on one
Yeah.
thing and focus on that one thing, the chances of that being really successful, and that when that thing's really successful, the chances of you being able to move on to the next thing and do that thing really successful becomes much more, possible. That's
I
really
I do like that. Okay. What's the name of the book again?
I think it's called The One Thing. It's an
The One Thing.
older book.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think The One
Okay.
Thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about one. So you are obviously, and you even said it in a couple answers ago, talking about confidence. You are a very confident woman. You are.
Well,
And I know this. Here's how I know this, because
uh-oh.
a woman that is not confident and is insecure would never come up to me and touch my butt and start complimenting me. And then when I came to your house for the podcast, I've never been so complimented so hard in my life. And I kind of didn't want to
Oh,
leave. I'm like, I
please.
just,
No way. Give me a break. Okay, I was saying to Heidi that she has like the best body I've ever seen on a
no,
human in
no,
real life.
no.
Yes, because the truth is, like I said, in social media, it's all bullshit. Okay, you can see people; they look great when it's photoshopped and filtered. And it's all like. Then you see them in real life, and you're like, hold on a second. Like was that movie when they like that woman, Shallow Hal or whatever it is?
Yes, yeah.
But like the truth about you're like a perfect specimen, and I was like, I'm. This is how it is. This is the truth. Okay, I would never have said that if I did not actually believe it. I don't understand why people don't feel like they're not comfortable enough telling someone something nice. I mean, I don't know,
Oh,
like like I'm the kind of person that like if I actually think something
yeah.
that's nice, I want the person to know because why not?
Yes,
Why not make me feel good?
yes.
You
But
know?
it takes a confident woman to be able to do that. And it's very true. And there's not very many people that speak what they think, because in their minds, they think if I tell this person that they look beautiful or they have a good body or they're really smart, it's going to make me less of a person. Where
Right,
really,
right.
like, it would
It
actually
takes
make you
away
more
from
of
them.
a person. Yeah, and it doesn't. Like, it works totally adversely to the way that you think it works. Like, the more you give, the more you praise, the more you compliment, actually the better you feel about yourself. But I knew, like, honestly,
Absolutely.
you could tell, you know who you are. You are super confident in your ways, and I can see how that leads to your success. If you have to give any tips to people listening on how they can kind of, like, what helps you build confidence in yourself?
Well, I think the power of a belief, number one. Like I
Yeah,
do believe everything does start right here between your ears,
yeah,
in your head. And you know, even with exercise, right? Like I don't even
yeah,
exercise anymore. It's because I want a great ass. Yes, I would be
yeah,
nice. I mean, you know that, but at the same time, I do it more for the mental, right? The
yeah,
mental piece of it, right? Uh,
yeah,
because I feel like physically strong, mentally strong. But I believe if you believe, you have a belief system, and it's
yeah,
very hard to shift it sometimes, right? Because not all of us are programmed the same way. But
yeah,
like anything else in the world, if you want to learn Spanish, if you want to learn how to ride a bike, you have to practice. And then you have to practice also talking to yourself differently, reframing how you see things and tweaking that because it all starts in your head. You could just say,
yes,
and you have to say to yourself, I can do that, and visualize what that thing is that you want. And that visualization helps you kind of pursue it. And like the best way, like it's all momentum. The best way to really get confidence is to have a success because then
yeah,
you feel confident, right? And then you strive for the next thing. But it really does begin in your head and focusing on the things that make you different and what makes you and what sets you apart. I've always had like that in me, right? Like we're talking,
yeah,
like I've never been the kind of person that I don't have to be the prettiest girl in the room or the smartest, person in school. But, I find things about me that I think are different or that are
Yeah.
positive, and I focus
Yeah.
on that because and I said this to you, I said this with you and Lisa, like I find the sexiest thing that people can do is be authentic and own who they are and like
Amen.
walk, right? And walk through the
Yeah.
world being happy
Yeah.
and being
Yeah.
happy with who they are. Like, who wants to be around but one who's uncomfortable and awkward and negative and pointing out everyone else's, problems?
And
I mean,
pointing out all of their problems and their faults. It's just a big energy suck.
it's an energy suck. Like, just,
Yeah.
and it's hard. Like, it's so true. Like, it's a lot of like being happy in life and
Yeah.
confident in life is reframing how you see things and self-talk. It sounds silly,
Yes.
but self-talk and visualization of who you want to be. Who do you want to be 5 years from now? Who do you want to be right now? And
Yeah.
then like work towards that goal.
Yes. I love that. Kind of leads me to something else I want to talk about. I think it's connected. And what necklace are you wearing right now?
Oh, this is Wonder Woman.
Yes. And you were wearing that when I was at Lisa's.
Right.
And you were probably wearing it. Okay, so tell me, what is this about? What does it symbolize? And so it came from Lisa.
I've always loved it because it's a symbol, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've always loved Wonder Woman because I feel like it's a symbol, like a superhero, like a
Yeah.
female superhero.
It is.
And
Yeah.
it's very
She's
powerful,
great.
right? And it's very powerful. So I keep it, I wear it. I mean, listen, I for whatever reason, I wear it every day because whenever I feel like a little bit like I'm dipping or I don't feel so, like when I feel low or I feel whatever,
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, you know what? Like, with Wonder Woman, I feel like it gives me some sense of like empowerment or power.
Yes.
Like a superhero. I even have a pair of tights that look like this.
I love that. I have a little, it's funny. This actually just came to me as you were talking. So Susan is one of the amazing women that helps me kind of with a lot that I do, including this show right here. And her daughter used to nanny for me. And one thing I'll never forget, it actually had gone out of my mind until just now, is she could see how hard I was working, and she always was just complimenting me, and she was helping me with my baby. She lived in for a while and was always just so sweet. But one I had a really hard time because I had a baby and was traveling within 7 days, and 2 weeks later was going to Tahiti, New Zealand with the kids in tow because we had to film for the show. So it was just, and then I was having kidney surgeries like 4 days after my baby was born, had a cover shoot 7 days after. There was just a lot. And I remember walking.
Hold on. Did a cover shoot how long?
7 days after Ruby was born, to the day. 4 days after I had urgent kidney surgery. 3 days after that, I had a cover shoot, a family cover shoot. Yes. Yeah, for a magazine. Wow. I know. And then, 7 days after that, we left to Hawaii. It was just a crazy time. That's like the no excuses versus burnout. I was so no excuses to the extreme.
Oh, wow.
But she knew I was struggling. And when no one was watching, I was getting a lot of heat on social media about, the fact that I was pumping instead of, feeding formula because I had had surgery. And I walk in one day and there was a note on my bathroom mirror that just said, "You really are Wonder Woman." And that's all that it said. And I immediately cried, and I left that note up. That was 7 years ago, because Ruby's almost 6.5 years ago. It somehow disappeared. I don't know if a cleaner removed it like 2 months ago, but I had it up on my mirror for like 6 years straight because it's just so important. Like for me, I would look at it and I'd say, I am freaking Wonder Woman. Like I can do whatever I want to do. And having that reminder, I think, is so important. It helped me with what you just talked about, that positive self-talk, And so I want to know where to get one of those. That's what I want to know. Since I don't have Pamela's note.
You know what? I'm going to get you one.
Oh, then I'm going to get you something.
I'm going to get you one. No. I'm going to get you one.
I'm going to get you one.
Send me your actual address.
You send me your address.
I know. I am going to get you one. You're going to have one in about, probably with now the mail being so, crazy here, maybe in 2 weeks. Maybe give me a week, 10 days.
You are so amazing.
No,
you are so amazing. Thank you. You do not need to do that.
No, do you promise to wear it every day?
Every day. I will story that shit like you wouldn't believe. And I will tag you, okay?
Every day. I want a tag from you every day.
That's a big commitment.
I mean, that's a really big commitment. But I think this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, like little reminders of who you want to be, who you are. Like, a lot of times, you put like people put like sticky notes even on their fridge or on their mirror, because like a day, 24 hours is a long time, to have that like positivity. Like it's kind of like unrealistic to think you're always going to be like this, right?
Yes.
So that's why when you have something that like dips you down, like a rut or a groove. Someone said to me something last week that it really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And it was that everybody in life either are in a rut or a groove in life.
Ooh.
And it's all about perspective. It's all about perspective.
I love that.
Isn't that amazing? You could be either in a rut or a groove. And this was like my who told me this? This was I'm bringing her on my podcast actually, because she's so inspiring. It's my Sydney, who's 5, her educator. It's like this woman who's a principal of her school, who's like a really, really, really intelligent, and she's an educator and has so much schooling with that. And she said that to me, and she was just diagnosed with cancer. And she was so upbeat. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? No matter what, it's all perspective. I could be sitting here thinking to myself how terrible life is. And then there's someone right beside me who just who has it much worse. So you know what? Things aren't so bad. Like perspective is so important. And you can you can look at yourself and look at your life of either being in a rut or a groove. And it's all on how you frame things in your brain and what you're focused on.
That is so, I will actually never forget that. I believe that so much. And I hope everybody here if there's anything you write down, it's that. I love that, because perspective really will make your life incredible, or it will make it hell.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. We all want happy, right? We all want peace in some way. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can't believe an hour has passed with you already. I want to know. So obviously, I want everybody listening, watching, everyone that sees this down the road, you've got to go watch her podcast. She is so incredible. Can you tell them how can they find it, and how can they find you everywhere as well?
Oh, okay. Well, the podcast is everywhere. It's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find a podcast. And you can find me at The Real Jen Cohen on Instagram. That's good. The real Jen Cohen on Instagram. My website, Jennifer Cohen. Awesome. Here with Heidi over here. Well, now Heidi's going to be tagging me all the time because I
am every day.
I love it.
Jen, you are amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out and doing this and sharing all of your experience and wisdom and love and light. Like, you are such a bright person.
Oh, thank you. Heidi.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And everybody watching, thank you so much for being here with us today. I had so much fun. I say every week, it's my favorite, and this is my new favorite. So don't forget. Yeah. Until next week, every week, noon Pacific time, I will be here. Jen, I love you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Bye, guys.
Bye.